It was a quiet evening in Norfolk, Virginia, the kind of night that felt calm on the surface but carried the weight of stories untold. Inside the Rusty Anchor, a small waterfront bar frequented by military personnel and locals alike, the atmosphere was light, music playing softly, laughter filling corners, and glasses clinking in a rhythm that belonged to people trying to forget the world outside. No one paid much attention when a woman walked in through the door. She moved with a kind of stillness that drew attention without asking for it. Her dark jacket fit snugly, her posture upright, every step measured, balanced, and deliberate. Her name was Lieutenant Commander Alexandra Hayes, or as those in the Special Operations Command whispered, Ghost Diver. She wasn't dressed like a soldier. There was no visible rank, no badge, no weapon, just a woman who looked calm and tired, the kind of tired that came not from lack of sleep, but from years of carrying secrets she could never share. Alex had just returned from a classified operation in the Middle East, an underwater demolition mission that had lasted 3 weeks. The media would never know her name. Her work would never be publicly recognized. That was how it always was for SEALs, especially for someone like her, one of the first women to serve in her unit. She wanted nothing tonight but a quiet drink. The bartender, an older man named Ray, recognized her immediately. He had served in the Navy 20 years ago and had seen her picture on a base bulletin once. A woman in combat gear, eyes steady, the caption reading LTCMDR, A. Hayes, Team Omega. Evening? Commander, he said quietly. She smiled faintly. Just Alex tonight, Ray. He nodded, pouring her a glass of whiskey and sliding it across the counter. You got it. For a few minutes, peace held steady. She sipped her drink, stared out the window at the docks, and listened to the low hum of voices around her. But trouble always had a way of finding her, even when she wasn't looking for it. At a nearby table, a group of 5 men sat drinking heavily. They were loud, brash, and bored, a mix of locals and a few off-duty sailors. Among them was Rick Dalton, a tall, broad man with a short fuse and a habit of turning his insecurities into insults. Rick had washed out of Bud ES, Navy SEAL training, years ago. He never made it past Hell Week, but he carried the bitterness with him like a second skin. He didn't know who Alex was, but something about the calm confidence in her presence made him uneasy, like she reminded him of everything he'd failed to become. Hey, Rick, one of his buddies said, nudging him. That woman's been sitting there all night alone. You gonna let her drink without some company? Rick smirked. Oh, I'll go say hi. Probably one of those office types who thinks she's tough. He got up, straightened his shirt, and swaggered over. Alex noticed him approaching, her eyes flicking to the mirror behind the bar. She had seen men like him before, loud, insecure, used to intimidating others. But she didn't react. She just took another sip. Rick leaned an elbow on the bar beside her. Well, hey there, he said, smiling in a way that wasn't friendly. You look like you could use some company. Alex didn't turn to look at him. I'm fine, thanks, he laughed. Oh, come on, don't be like that. What's your name? Alex. He tilted his head. That short for Alexandra? She nodded once, he smirked. You military? She didn't answer immediately. Something like that. Rick chuckled. Something like that. What, you drive supply trucks or type reports? A few men at his table laughed from across the room. The bartender froze, sensing where this was headed. Alex set her glass down carefully. You should go back to your friends. Rick leaned closer. You one of those Navy girls who thinks she's a soldier? Cute. Walk away, she said softly. Rick's smile faded. Or what? The bar went quiet. The air grew heavy, and then without warning he slapped her. The sound echoed through the room. Everyone froze. The jukebox in the corner seemed to stop mid-song. Alex didn't move. Didn't flinch. She simply blinked once, slow, controlled. Her glass didn't even spill. Then, with terrifying speed, she reacted. Her hand shot out, gripping Rick's wrist before he could pull back. A sharp twist, a pivot of her shoulder, and his body slammed into the bar counter with a thud that shook glasses off their shelves. Rick screamed as his arm bent in a direction it shouldn't. Alex swept her leg under him, sending him crashing to the floor. In the same motion, she turned. One of his friends was rushing at her. She sidestepped, grabbed his shirt, and sent him sprawling into another table. In 10 seconds, 3 men were down. The remaining 2 froze in place, wide-eyed. Alex stood still, her breathing calm, her voice quiet but sharp as steel. "Anyone else?" she asked. No one moved. Rick groaned on the floor, clutching his shoulder. "You broke my damn arm." "You'll live," she said. "Next time, keep your hands to yourself." Ray, the bartender, finally spoke. "Commander Hayes," he said softly, "you okay?" The name made the entire room go still again. Rick's head snapped up. "Commander what?" Ray's eyes didn't leave her. "Lieutenant Commander Alexandra Hayes, Navy SEAL." The words hit the air like a bomb. Every face turned toward her, disbelief, awe, and a little fear. Rick's mouth opened, but no sound came out. "You're lying," he whispered. "There's no female SEALs." Alex's eyes met his. "There are now?" She picked up her glass, set it down empty, and slid a few bills across the counter. "Keep the change," she said to Ray. Then she turned toward the door. Before she left, she looked back once at the men on the floor. "You'll forget my name," she said, "but you'll never forget tonight." And then she walked out. Outside, the night was cold. The harbor wind cut through the quiet streets. Alex stood for a moment, looking out at the water, her reflection staring back from the black surface. The phone in her jacket buzzed. She answered. "This is Hayes." "Commander," said a voice on the other end. "Mission authorization confirmed. Your wheel's up in 36 hours. Debrief at 0900. She nodded silently. "Understood. Everything okay on your end?" Alex looked back at the bar lights glowing faintly behind her. "Everything's fine." She hung up and walked toward her car, the sound of her boots steady on the pavement. 2 weeks later, classified operation, Arabian Sea, a helicopter hovered low over the dark ocean. Inside, SEAL Team Omega prepared for insertion. Weapons checked, gear secured, heart steady. Alex sat near the rear ramp, eyes closed, her mind calm. Across from her, a young SEAL whispered to another, "Is it true she's the one who took out 6 targets in Kandahar alone?" The other nodded. "They call her Ghost Diver for a reason." The light above the ramp turned green. Alex opened her eyes. "Let's move," she said. They jumped into the night. The mission that followed was one of the most dangerous on record, a hostage extraction in a hostile coastal fortress. Under heavy fire, Alex led her team through enemy lines, coordinated air support, and neutralized the threat with precision that command would later call flawless. Not a single hostage was lost. Not one SEAL was killed. When the team returned to base, command released only a brief statement. "Operation successful. Leadership, Lieutenant CMDR A. Hayes." No details. No recognition. Just silence. The kind of silence heroes live in. Back in Norfolk a month later, the Rusty Anchor bar was unusually quiet again. Rick Dalton sat alone at the counter, his arm in a brace. He hadn't told anyone the full story. He didn't need to. Everyone in town had heard whispers about the night a man hit a woman, and she turned out to be a SEAL. The TV above the bar played a short military news segment. In a daring operation off the coast of Yemen, Navy SEALs rescued 12 American hostages. The mission was led by Lieutenant Commander Alexandra Hayes. The room went silent again. Rick looked up slowly, eyes fixed on the screen. Alex's face appeared for a brief second, in uniform, eyes calm, expression unreadable. He swallowed hard, lowering his gaze. "Guess she really was a SEAL," he muttered. Ray poured him another drink. "You're lucky she only broke your arm," he said quietly. Rick didn't answer. He just stared into his glass, hearing her voice echo in his mind. "You'll never forget tonight." And he didn't. Epilogue. 6 months later. Alex sat by the ocean again, this time far from any mission. The sun was setting over the waves, painting the sky in gold. Her next deployment loomed on the horizon, but for the moment, there was peace. She thought about the people who never knew her name, the ones she saved, the ones she fought beside, and even the ones who underestimated her. She had no anger left for them, just purpose. Because being a SEAL wasn't about proving herself anymore. It was about protecting others, quietly, fiercely, and without thanks. As the wind carried the sound of the ocean, she whispered softly to herself, still standing. Then she got up, turned away from the waves, and walked back toward the path where duty always waited.